Hello guys, welcome back. I'm telling you right now, Caitlin Clark is making damn sure that everybody remembers her name. All those people who spent months saying she wasn't an elite point guard, saying she wasn't even a top 5 or top 4 player at her position, are suddenly real quiet. It's nothing but crickets from the same crowd that kept saying, she's overrated, she turns the ball over too much, she ain't that good. Well, where are y'all at now? Because Caitlin Clark just walked into this game and absolutely dominated. She finished with the double-double in only 19 damn minutes before halftime. And by the time the third quarter was winding down, the Indiana Fever had completely destroyed the Connecticut Sun. This wasn't just a win, it was a straight-up beatdown from the opening tip. Now, give credit where credit is due. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. When the Indiana Fever play great basketball, I'm going to acknowledge everybody involved. Stephanie White and Brianne January deserve a ton of credit because they coached one hell of a defensive game. Their defensive rotations were sharp, the communication was excellent, and they completely disrupted everything the Connecticut Sun wanted to do offensively. But let's be honest, the biggest story is still Caitlin Clark. This woman just landed the cover of NBA 2K27. She continues breaking records almost every single time she steps on the floor, and somehow people still refuse to seriously talk about her in the MVP conversation. I don't understand it. If Caitlin Clark stays healthy during the second half of the season, she absolutely deserves to be right in the middle of that race. Performances like this aren't normal. They're historic. The internet exploded after this game, and there's a simple reason why. Caitlin Clark is back. Not just back, but back with a vengeance. This version of Caitlin Clark looks different. She looks more aggressive, more confident, more explosive, and she's playing with an edge. Every possession feels dangerous because she's constantly attacking the defense, making impossible passes, knocking down deep threes, and controlling the pace of the game. Now, I remember seeing people on Twitter asking, why does Caitlin Clark turn the ball over so much? This game answered that question perfectly. There were multiple possessions where Caitlin Clark got blatantly shoved by defenders, knocked off her driving lane, and the referees swallowed the whistle. No foul. Turnover. The refs were literally staring right at the contact, and somehow nothing gets called. That shit is frustrating because those turnovers don't tell the whole story. Anybody actually watching the games can see she's absorbing contact that would be called for plenty of other players. Now, there was one disappointing moment for me. The Indiana Fever had a legitimate chance to make history. They were scoring at will. They already had 70 points in the first half, and they kept pouring it on. Late in the game, instead of going for one final basket to chase the all-time scoring record, they nearly dribbled out the clock. They had the opportunity. One more bucket could have put them in the record books, but unfortunately, the final possession didn't work out. Still, none of that changes what happened. The Fever won by 35 points in an absolute massacre. And the crazy part, Caitlin Clark never even played in the fourth quarter. She finished with 27 points, 11 assists, knocked down 6 free throws, picked up 1 technical foul, and did all of that while only taking 13 shots. That's ridiculous efficiency. She completely controlled the game without needing heavy minutes. Honestly, within the first couple of minutes, I was already thinking Caitlin Clark could finish with 30 points and 10 assists if she wanted to. What surprised me wasn't that she could do it, it was how damn easy she made it look. Everything was flowing naturally. She never looked rushed, every read was there, every pass was on time, and every shot seemed effortless. One of my favorite moments came early in the first half. Caitlin Clark caught fire immediately. She started the game 5 for 6 from the field and 4 for 4 from three-point range. But the play that impressed me the most actually came on a missed shot. She made a move that had the defender completely off balance, and I literally thought, holy shit, I've never seen Caitlin Clark pull that move before. You could tell she's adding new layers to her game, and that should scare every team in the WNBA. The Indiana Fever looked completely in control from the opening possession. Kelsey Mitchell, Caitlin Clark, and Aaliyah Boston absolutely dominated. Those three combined for 50 points in the first half alone. By the end of the game, they had combined for 72 points, despite none of them playing even 30 minutes. Caitlin Clark led the group with just 27 minutes played. That level of production in limited minutes is insane. The bench also deserves recognition. Sydney Colson gave the Fever quality minutes and kept the energy high every time she checked in. Lexi Hull had an excellent start and made winning plays on both ends of the floor. Regan Beers continues to impress me every time she gets an opportunity. Before preseason, I kept saying Indiana Fever should give Regan Beers a real shot, and I still believe that. She continues proving she belongs, and personally, I think she gives this team more than Damiris Dantas in certain situations. And before people start saying, the Connecticut Sun suck, let's slow down for a second. The Connecticut Sun have been a solid defensive team throughout the season, especially when it comes to defending guards. They're physical, disciplined, and they usually make life difficult for opposing backcourts. Caitlin Clark didn't just beat them, she completely picked them apart. Once again, Caitlin Clark added another record to her growing resume. Nobody in women's NBA history has recorded a 20-point, 10-assist game under 30 minutes until now. That's the kind of history she keeps making every time she steps on the floor. And if she continues playing like this, the MVP conversation won't be able to ignore her much longer.
Now, we've got to talk about what Caitlin Clark just did, because this was absolutely ridiculous. A 21-point, 10-assist double-double in only 19 minutes. Think about that for a second. That's not normal. That's historic greatness. And once again, all the people who spent months doubting Caitlin Clark have suddenly disappeared. The haters are real quiet tonight. Every time she puts together another unbelievable performance, it's the same story. Nobody wants to admit they were wrong. Nobody wants to give her the credit she's earned. Now, let's get into another topic that has the internet talking. The WNBA didn't have Caitlin Clark in the All-Star three-point contest, and then reports started circulating about who was invited and who declined. Earlier today, more reports came out claiming the league may not have been completely truthful about those invitations. Some people are saying the WNBA put out misleading information involving several of its biggest stars, and Caitlin Clark's name ended up right in the middle of the conversation. Now, I haven't seen Caitlin Clark personally address it yet. Hopefully she gets in front of the media after this game, because I'd really like to hear her side of the story. If anybody deserves to speak on it, it's her. Considering how she's been shooting the basketball all season, fans definitely wanted to see her in that contest. Now, let's talk about what happened on the court, because my God, the Indiana Fever absolutely exploded. The final score, Indiana Fever 123, Connecticut Sun 88. God damn, bro, that's nasty work right there. From the opening tip, Indiana looked like the better team in every single area. They pushed the pace, shared the basketball, knocked down shots, and never really allowed Connecticut to build any momentum. By halftime, it already felt like the game was over. If I remember correctly, the Connecticut Sun only had 2 players in double figures at halftime. By the end of the game, they finished with 5 players scoring in double digits. But honestly, by that point, the outcome had already been decided. The Fever had completely taken control. Looking at the Indiana box score, everybody contributed. Monique Billings finished with 12 points and 5 rebounds. Aaliyah Boston was incredibly efficient once again in putting up 22 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists while only playing 20 minutes. That tells you everything you need to know about how dominant Indiana was. Their starters didn't even need heavy minutes. Then there's Caitlin Clark. She played just 27 minutes and still finished with 27 points, while shooting 8 for 13 from the field and 5 for 9 from beyond the arc. She also went a perfect 6 for 6 at the free throw line. That's an elite offensive performance any way you look at it. Now, I'm going to keep it real. Caitlin Clark also finished with 6 turnovers, and yeah, that's a lot. I'm not going to sit here and pretend otherwise. But when you have the ball in your hands as much as she does, constantly creating opportunities for everyone else, turnovers are gonna happen. The important thing is that she never stopped attacking and never stopped making plays.
Sophie Cunningham also gave Indiana solid minutes. She played 21 minutes and scored 8 points. It felt like she was involved even more than the stat sheet shows. She continues bringing energy every time she checks into the game, and that toughness is something this Fever team feeds off of. As a team, Indiana was unbelievable offensively. They shot 62% from the field, which is ridiculously efficient. They also knocked down 11 of their 22 three-point attempts, shooting an even 50% from deep. At the free throw line, they converted 22 of 27 attempts, finishing around 81%. They absolutely kicked Connecticut's butt. There's really no other way to describe it. The Fever also grabbed 35 rebounds, including 8 offensive boards and 27 defensive rebounds. They finished with 29 assists, showing just how well they moved the basketball throughout the game. One stat that surprised me was Kelsey Mitchell only finishing with 2 assists. Honestly, while I was watching, it felt like she had way more than that. She was making the extra pass, moving the ball, and keeping the offense flowing. But if the official stats say 2 assists, then it is what it is. Now, I'm really interested to see how this post-game press conference goes. Will reporters ask Caitlin Clark about the All-Star three-point contest situation? Will someone bring up those reports that have been circulating all day? Because fans definitely want answers, and this seems like the perfect opportunity for her to address everything publicly. Looking at the Indiana Fever schedule, this was their final game before the All-Star break. Their next game isn't until July 28th against the Seattle Storm, giving everyone a chance to rest and reset for the second half of the season. I was even looking at ticket prices and thinking about making the trip. The Seattle game is tempting, but honestly, the Minnesota matchup has my attention. That might be the next game I pull up to watch. But let me know what y'all think down in the comments. Was this the Indiana Fever's most complete performance of the season? And do you think Caitlin Clark deserves to clear up the entire All-Star controversy once she finally speaks to the media? Now, I'm telling you right now, if Caitlin Clark would have played in the fourth quarter, she would have had 40. Caitlin Clark would have had another 40-point double-double if the Connecticut Sun could have made this game more competitive. But the fact that they were so trash, they couldn't stop her. She didn't have to go to work in the fourth quarter. She could just take a nice seat on the bench, let Ty Harris play, let Grace Van Sloten play. Indiana Fever are looking like a legitimate team now. And I'm telling you, all Stephanie White, we didn't see a bunch of Aaliyah Boston bringing the ball up the court. While Caitlin Clark was playing, I saw Aaliyah Boston bring the ball up the court one time. All of that, nope, they went to Caitlin Clark basketball. All this Aaliyah Boston point guard stuff, done. Get it? If you play the Caitlin Clark style, this team can win the WNBA title. If you play the CC style, if y'all gonna play the Stephanie White style, you might get bumped in the first round. You play the Caitlin Clark style, you might win a WNBA title this year, because Caitlin Clark is that special. She's that much of a monster, and nobody, I mean nobody, has an answer for her. Get down in the comments, let me know what you guys think, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share the channel.